Types of machine learning models with use cases. Machine learning is a subset of AI that uses computer algorithms to analyze data and enable intelligent decisions based on what it has learned without being explicitly programmed. Machine learning models can be broadly categorized into three main types: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Let's briefly explore each type with examples. Supervised learning. Definition. In supervised learning, the machine learning model relies on defining behavioral rules by examining and comparing large datasets to find common patterns and is trained on a labeled dataset, where the input data is paired with corresponding output labels. The goal is for the model to learn the mapping between inputs and outputs so that it can make accurate predictions on new, unseen data. Supervised learning are majorly of two types, that is, 1. Regression, which help in prediction of discrete output variable, and 2. Classification, which help in classification in continuous output groups/variables. Some common supervised learning models are linear regression, logistic regression, decision trees, and support vector machines. Example: image classification of cat and dog images. Unsupervised learning. Definition. Unsupervised learning involves training the model on an unlabeled dataset, and the algorithm tries to find patterns, relationships, or structures in the data without explicit guidance. The goal is often to find data patterns or structure, discover hidden insights or groupings within the data, and then use it to group or describe the data. Unsupervised learning are majorly of two types. That is, 1. Clustering, which help in clustering and output groups with unlabeled data, and 2. Association, which help in relationship association among variables. Some common unsupervised learning models are k-means, hierarchical clustering, principal component analysis, and association rules. Example: clustering of population. Semi-supervised learning models. These models learn from partially labeled data, which means some of the input and output are known, but not all. The goal is to leverage the unlabeled data to improve the performance of the supervised learning models. For example, a semi-supervised learning model can learn to recognize handwritten digits based on a small set of labeled images and a large set of unlabeled images. Semi-supervised learning are majorly of two types. That is, 1. Classification, which help in classification of semi-labeled data, and 2. Association, which help in relationship association among variables with semi-labeled data. Some common semi-supervised learning models are self-training, co-training, and graph-based methods. Reinforcement learning. Definition. Reinforcement learning involves training a model to make sequences of decisions by interacting with an environment. The model receives feedback in the form of rewards or penalties based on the actions it takes. You define the state, the desired goal, allowed actions, and constraints. The algorithm figures out how to achieve the goal by trying different combinations of allowed actions and is rewarded or punished depending on whether the decision was a good one. The goal is for the model to learn a strategy and find a policy that maximizes the long-term cumulative reward, and then use it to make optimal decisions in dynamic and uncertain situations. Some common reinforcement learning models are Q-learning, SURSA, and policy gradient. Example: reinforcement learning model can learn to play a video game based on the actions it takes and the score it receives.